things to do is when you are finished with Colby Community College, I get to graduate you. And it is exciting. That's an exciting time of year for me. It's a very busy time of year, but it's quite exciting. We do 3 graduations, we do 1 ceremony a year, but I graduate students 3 times a year. So I'll be fixing to do that here after the fall semester. So I'll graduate students, I'll start doing all of that in January for the fall completers. And then in spring, if you're completing in the spring semester, I'll start doing that toward the end of May. It usually takes me the full month of June to do all of that. It's a very lengthy process. And then I do it again in August for those summer completers. That's one of my very favorite things to do. But in order to do that, I have to look at every single one of your transcripts. So it's a manual process. I don't do it through our student information system. I have put my eyes on every single transcript that I audit for degree completion. So what I'm going to do today is kind of show you an example of what your transcripts look like. I've got some example transcripts. So I'm going to show you some things that happen with your transcripts when things go really well with a student. And I'm going to show you some things that happen on a transcript when things don't go so well with a student. And sometimes that happens. We all have times in our lives where life happens and maybe grades don't go as you planned and things kind of make your transcript look a little ugly, and that happens. But I want to show you some examples of transcripts. So is anybody going to be graduating in fall? Is anybody completing this fall? No, because I saw a lot of first timers. Anybody completing this spring? Okay, so that's fantastic. So that's what I'll get to do is I'll get to look at your transcripts. Has anyone gone into your self-service account? Have you heard the term self-service? Okay, another word for that is Trojan Web. Okay, so that's your student portal. Have you gone in there to look at your transcript, at your unofficial transcript? We had an update with our student information system that we call Power Campus. If you hear that, that's the system that Samantha and Jade and Sarah and Student Support Services and the Advising Center and all of us in the admissions office. I'm not part of admissions, but all of us in there, we use Power Campus. Well, Trojan Web is the self-service, is the student portal side of our student information system. And we had an update with that this summer. And Trojan Web looks really nice now. I really like how that's evolved and changed. It's really nice for students. It's more user-friendly, I believe, for students. So if you're a second-year student and you used it prior and now you're using the new version, do you like it? Do you see that it's more student-friendly maybe? I like the look of it. I think it's a lot nicer on the eyes and things like that. So if you haven't taken the opportunity to go into Trojan Web and look at your unofficial transcript, please do so, because things could look different. If you've got a grade, especially midterms were posted last week at some point in time, make sure you're looking at those grades and you're keeping track of those. I know you see it in Canvas, I understand that. But make sure as your midterms were posted or even as final grades are posted in December and January, if you're taking a late fall class or an 8-week 3, those grades won't be posted until January. So make sure you're looking at those grades and that they match with what you're kind of expecting in Canvas, okay? You are your best advocate. Always. Students are their own best advocates. And if you have questions, you go to Student Support Services, go to the Advising Center, come to my office. And if there are questions, we'll find the answers to those for you. And sometimes it just takes some guts to ask, but that's what we're here for, okay? So I'm going to show you a little bit, some example transcripts for you. And I'll just kind of show you just some things. Oops. There we go. Okay. This is my Any Awesome student. I told the girls I should have changed his name to Justin Timberlake, and then they said, oh, but like Freddy Krueger would be good right now, or Michael Myers, or something scary since it's that time of year. This is my favorite time of year. Who loves Halloween? Oh yeah, it's my favorite time of year. Okay, so this is our friend Any Awesome student. I'm sorry if I'm in your way. Okay, so he or she, we don't really know, and you can never tell by a transcript really. We don't put any of that kind of information on there. But this is what you see. You'll see something a little different in Power Campus or in Trojan Web, but this is what we see in Power Campus on our side, in the student information system on our side. So if you hear staff and faculty talk about Power Campus and the back side of Power Campus and those kinds of things, This is basically what we see, okay? It's very different. When you order an official transcript to be sent to your next institution, or if you're an athlete that's maybe being sent to NAIA, or a prospective employee at some point in time, this is very similar to what they will receive. It's a little bit different because it goes through a different process through parchment when you order your transcripts, but this is basically what you will see, or what your employer will see or something like that. So I want to point out a couple of things that are on your transcript if you have never seen such a thing. So up here, of course, is going to be your name, and down below is your program, degree, curriculum. So everything at a 2-year institution is always going to say undergraduate. Always. That's always what it's going to say. And our Any Awesome student is in an Associate of Arts program, General Studies. That statistically is the most common placement for a student at a community college because it transfers well to your baccalaureate program and those kinds of things. Are you planning on transferring to a 4-year sometime? So that General Studies is the most common program that students are in actually. And then in the center where it says no degree awarded, well, our Any Awesome student hasn't graduated yet. So there's no degree posted. Oh, clear over on the right, there's a date of birth. We never put a year on there. That's standard for what we do. It has to do with a lot of privacy things. Have you heard the term FERPA? Some of you may have signed a FERPA form, especially if you're an athlete. You sign FERPA forms. Those are privacy forms because all of us who are employees on this campus are charged with keeping your information private. It's a big deal. So a lot of these things have to do with a lot of privacy things for us as faculty and staff. Oh boy, so one of the big things you can see here, I don't know if you notice over there, look at that GPA. Is that good or bad? That's bad. Why is that bad? Yes, it's low. Do you know what the minimum GPA is that you have to graduate from Colby Community College? 2.0. You have to have a 2.0 to graduate. In specialty programs, such as nursing and things like that, it might be a little bit different because their grading scales are different. Dental hygiene and nursing are two good examples that their grading scale is a little bit different than a general studies program. 2.0 is the minimum you have to graduate. If you have a 1.99, can I graduate you? No, I can't. I can't do that. So you'll be retaking a class or taking something different to boost that GPA. So our Any Awesome student, he's had a rough go of it with a 137. It's not a good GPA. But look at fall of 2019. That was the very first semester he was here. And you can tell on our transcripts, it gives you the term and then it gives you the dates of that term. That looks kind of funky, I know, because really, truly, when do you take finals for fall? When are your finals?
December.
Yes, December. Well, why does that say January 5th? Does anyone know? It looks funky, doesn't it? Because our fall terms sometimes extend into January because we have the 8-week 3 session. I don't know if anyone in here is enrolled in an 8-week 3 class. And then we have the late fall session. And that late fall session starts this year, December 10th, and ends January 31st. So our fall session this year actually ends January 31st. But in previous years, it has crossed over into the next calendar year. And that's because of that, especially the late fall term that we have coming up. So I don't want you to be alarmed when you see that. It is correct. Some students think that that's not correct, but it truly is correct. So look at his fall, his fall semester. He did pretty well. An A, mostly B's and C's, but he did pretty well. So when you look at your transcript, there are some things that you're gonna notice. Down here on this line where it says term, he attempted 16 credits, earned 16, so there's his total right now, 16 credits. GPA, what does GPA stand for? Do you know? Grade point average, fantastic. And this is a mathematical calculation with the number of credit hours that each class is and then the grade. So each grade is assigned a certain number of points. It's a mathematical calculation back behind in our computer system, and that's what figures these quality points, and then your GPA. If you look down this column, all classes except that student success seminar, they're all 3 credits. And so this is the mathematical calculation when the grade is posted, the number of credit hours, and then those quality points. So like I said, it's just a lot of math, and I don't like to do a lot of math this early in the day. But his GPA for the term was a 2.5. That's really good. That's 2.5 for that semester. And so at that point, his cumulative was a 2.5. So that's good. That's exactly how it should be. I'm gonna scroll on. Oh, I might have just broken an apron. I'm sorry, kids.
Oh, you're fine.
You can tell. Oh, life happened and something bad happened, possibly in this kid's life. So he did not do well at all. And so you can see over here on these classes, he failed everything. They were 3 credits, but failing grades, you get 0 quality points for failing grades. So that's why everything in this right-hand column, they're all zeros, because he didn't earn any points. And so even for the term, he attempted 15, didn't earn any, 0 points. So that really tanked his GPA, as you can see. So that cumulative is, again, a mathematical calculation of all of the classes and grades that he received at that point in time. So it can happen. I also want to point out, if this particular student ever wanted to petition to Colby Community College to have that particular semester expunged or basically taken away, a student can do that. When that happens, it can only happen once for a student ever in the history of your collegiate career here. That can only happen once, but it can happen. The grades will always appear on a transcript like that, but I have to do some things on the back end of a transcript to make that go away. It'll stay there, but I make the calculation go away. So it can happen. So there are things in place for students who don't do well like this that we can make concessions for a student so that they can be successful. Because ultimately we want you to be successful here at Colby. So we're gonna scroll on down to his next fall semester. Oh, look at that. He did pretty well in fall of 20. So he came back, decided to come back to Colby. He's got B's and an A. So he did pretty well, didn't he? And you can see over here his GPA for that term is a 3.2. That's a great GPA. But calculating that with the poor semester prior, his cumulative is still below a 2.0. So even though he had a really good semester, all of those calculations still come into play. And then spring, I don't know, hard to tell what happened. Maybe fell off the face of the earth. Didn't have a good spring semester that year. And so didn't do well. And we're gonna go back up for a second. And you can see at the end of the transcript, every transcript does this, where you have total credits taken, so that's calculating all of the credits he actually got, all of the classes he actually got credit for. The grades that have the F's, of course, you don't get credit, so they're not calculated in there. So he only, for those 4 semesters, he only earned 30 credit hours. How many credit hours do you need to graduate? 62 minimum for a general studies degree. Keep in mind, there are those specialty programs that are quite different. Is anybody in vet nursing? How many credit hours do you need? More than that? You need 20 more than that. You need 82 to graduate. So for a general studies student, 62 is the minimum. For vet nursing, it's 82. So that's why you gotta keep in mind, not every student always has 62 credit hours when they complete. Some have more, some have less. Certificated programs, like our practical nursing program, is a 1-year certificate. Far fewer, obviously, but different programs have different credit hour requirements. So I'm going to then scroll down. Here's our Any Awesome student again. This is the same student. I did a little bit different, some different scenarios with his grades, as you can see. So look at his overall GPA up there. Will he graduate? Yeah, look at that. So he's done some good things. We made some changes. That first semester, fall of 19, the grades were the same. But remember spring of 20? On the other example, he didn't do very well, did he? He had all Fs, right? Or she did okay, did all right. What I want to bring to your attention though, right now, full semester classes, and you all get emails from me, please don't ignore those. When I email out about drop dates and withdraw dates, don't ignore those. What's coming up on Monday, anybody know?
Spring enrollment.
Yes, last withdraw date for full semester classes is this Monday, the 25th. If you don't withdraw by 4 p.m. on Monday from a full semester class and you're failing that class, that failing grade is what's going to be posted on your transcript at the end of the semester. Or a D, or something along that nature. Keep in mind, if you're in English Comp 1 and you get a D in Comp 1, are you going on to Comp 2? No. Same thing with intermediate algebra. If you're in intermediate algebra and you're at D, are you going on to college algebra? No. So those classes carry some pretty strict prerequisite requirements. So what I wanted to show you on this one is in spring of 20, remember on the first example he had all Fs? Well, he did pretty well, but intro to Soc, he withdrew. I want to show you an example give you an example of what happens when you withdraw from classes. Withdrawing from classes can be an okay thing, especially if you're not doing well. It's a great safety net for students to protect your GPA. Because if you're failing a class and you don't withdraw, that F calculates in your GPA. And sometimes it does really bad things, as you can see. But up here, our Any Awesome student, he withdrew from sociology. And it didn't calculate any points. So even when you fail a class, when a student fails a class, you know how it doesn't put any GPA, any points over there? The great thing about a withdrawal is that's not calculated in your GPA. The 0 quality points for failing a class is calculated in your GPA, but a withdrawal is not. So this is a good example of a way that you can protect your GPA if you're not doing well in a class. Now again, if you're an athlete, if you're on scholarship, if you have financial aid, some of those a withdrawal can affect those processes too. So it affects different students differently, but you don't want to fail classes. You're going to retake those classes, or you won't progress to the next, like I said, Comp 2 or something like that. So withdrawals can be good things. They're good safety nets for students, but I wanted to show you how that can at least protect your GPA if need be. Fall of 2020, he's still doing okay. Let's see how he did in spring. Uh-oh, he failed Spanish. Here's a good example of how it can affect your GPA. How many credit hours is the Spanish class? Right there. 5 credit hours. That's the highest number of credit hours that a class at Colby Community College can be. We have 1 credit, we have 2, most are 3, but most gen eds are 3 credit hour classes, but a lot of your science classes are 4 and 5 credit hours because they contain labs. Our Spanish classes, we have 2 Spanish classes, Spanish 1 and Spanish 2. Those are both 5 credit hour classes. They carry a lot of weight. So when calculating a GPA, those 4 and 5 credit hour classes, if you don't do well, they affect your GPA pretty significantly as opposed to a 1 credit hour class. A 1 credit hour class that you maybe get a D or you fail isn't going to affect your GPA as poorly as a 4 or 5 credit hour class because mathematically they carry more points, more quality points. So again, if he had gotten an A in Spanish, an A is worth 4 quality points. 4 times 5, he's going to get 20 quality points, and that's really going to be a GPA booster. Can you retake a class that you've gotten a failing grade in or a D? Can you retake that class? Absolutely you can. What happens to your GPA if you retake a class? Anyone know? It'll boost that GPA. So if you fail a class, if he retakes Spanish 2 and he gets a B, the F will always stay on the transcript. Withdrawals will always stay on there. They will never, ever, ever go away. But when you retake a class, the higher grade is then what's calculated in your GPA. So retaking a failed class is a definite GPA booster if you do better with the second attempt. Sometimes a student chooses, if they're going on, maybe they want to go to med school. It's a good example. And they take chemistry and they get a C in chemistry, 5 credit hour class. But they know they need to be applying to med school. They're going to retake that class probably, even though they got a C. It's a great grade, but they need to boost their GPA. If they get an A at their second attempt, that A is going to be what's calculated, not the C. So if you see a transcript where you've got a grade that has a bracket around it, that means it's a retake and it's been recalculated in your GPA. Okay, so that's a good example of just some things that are signified on a transcript as you progress through. So I'm going to go one last example of a transcript. This is our same student. Look at his GPA now. So he's done some things here that look a little bit different. There's that intro to Soc that he kept as a withdraw. But look at down there at elementary Spanish 2. He retook it. So remember on the previous example, he failed it, and over there it was 0 points. Well, he got a B. A B is worth 3 quality points. So again, do some math. So now he gets 15 quality points, and that's a big GPA booster. This isn't a good example. I didn't do one where it would have actually been a retake, but if on a different example, it would have had a bracket around it, and that one would have been recalculated in his GPA. So for that one, this is a good example. I want to show you something else. How many overall credits does he have now? 59. Is he ready to graduate? No, he doesn't have 62. That's the minimum. You have to have 62 in a general studies program. But I want to show you something else that's very important, because let's pretend he had 62 credit hours, but I still couldn't graduate him, and I want to show you why, okay? Sometimes students take, we call them 0 level or developmental courses. So there are some developmental courses on this transcript. As you can see, EN 014, 077, 050. Down here, there's 078 and 076. Those are developmental courses, or sometimes we call them 0 level. Even though over here in the total credits taken, those are calculated in that overall total. If you go through and add everything up, they're calculated in that 59 total credit hours. But if you've ever taken a developmental course that's a 0 level, it begins with a 0, when I audit that for graduation, I have to back those credit hours out. They're not automatically backed out of that transcript. So for example, just on that first semester, he has 3 credit hour classes that are not able to be calculated in an overall count of credit hours for graduation. Just that one semester. So I scribble all over those transcripts as I audit. So there are 9 credits. I would back those 9 credits out of there just straight away, and he's at 50. And then that second semester, he has 6 more that I have to back out. So take that 6 out of 50, doing some math there, he's in 40s now. So he's going to have to take more credit hours to graduate. So anytime, if you have a developmental class on your transcript, keep in mind those credit hours are not, they're calculated, but I have to manually back them out when I audit for completion, okay? Just so that you know, I want to make you aware of that. So even though he was 3 credit hours short total, he needed 62, he's really short. There is a thing I want to make you aware, there's a thing out there called reverse transfer. Has anybody heard of reverse transfer? So if this student decided, I'm done with Colby, I need to move on to my 4-year, which he can. I'm not going to graduate him, but you can move on to your 4-year after your 2 years here. You don't have to go 3 years. He can go on, let's say he wants to go to Fort Hays. And he's going to transfer on to Fort Hays, send this transcript. He's going to take some credit hours at Fort Hays, and it's called a reverse transfer. And then after his first semester or 2 at Fort Hays, you reverse transfer that transcript back here to Colby. I audit those credit hours in, I transfer them into Colby, and then I graduate you. So there is something called a reverse transfer that can happen. So keep that in mind as you progress through your career here. If something happens and you decide to move on, we can reverse transfer those credits back. it's an easy process to do, and I can do that for you too. So keep in mind that can happen. Any questions over transcripts really fast? That's a quick overview of transcripts, and your official transcript on Trojan Web doesn't look like this per se, but it's a lot nicer than it used to be. I like the view now that's on Trojan Web. Any questions over that? No, you're so quiet. No question. Do you have questions, Sarah? Any questions? Carla, do you have questions out there? No? You'll think about something tonight at 10. Don't text me. You can email me. Okay, so that like I said, that's just a quick overview of transcripts. And again, if you think of something, even later today or next week or something, and you have some questions, some more private questions, just come into my office. Do you remember everybody remember where my office is? Back in the corner. They keep me in a corner. I don't have a window. I can't escape. Did you have a question, kind sir?
I was going to ask you to hint on, like, going into different programs at different schools, if you have a C in some courses, you need an entry-level grade to get, because at some 4 years, you don't get into a program until your sophomore or junior year. So maybe you have a C in a math class or whatever type of science class, you would have to retake that at a 4-year to get into a program if you transfer as an associate with your associates.
Yes. Did you know that? Sometimes D's don't transfer generally if you earn a D in a course.
Yeah, like some programs will need over a 3.0 to get into like an education, athletic training, nursing program, wherever. So
Let me ask you this. So we talked about English comp. You have to have comp 1 and comp 2 to get an associate's degree, a general ed associate's degree. If you get a C in comp 1, we decided yes, you move on to comp 2. And you get a D in comp 2, will you graduate with that? Do you meet the requirement to graduate at Colby Community College with a D in comp 2? You do. Yes, you do. I can graduate you with a D in comp 2, or college algebra or something like that. Yes, it does suffice to graduate you, but again, your transfer institution is not going to accept that D. Oh, sorry. Yes, Scott Frost is cute.
No, he's not.
Yes, he is.
Hawkeyes,
Scott Frost cute.
November 27th.
But yes, I can graduate you with a D in comp 2 or a D in college algebra, for example, but your transfer institution is not going to accept that generally. So try really hard. Get that C, at least get that C here. So that you're not retaking it at your transfer institution, because you will. They're not going to accept that generally, and you're going to have to be retaking it anyway. Okay? I can't think of anything else right off the bat. Those of you who are completing either in fall, I don't think we had any fall takers, but in spring, have you filled out your graduation application? Not yet? And they're not due yet. You don't have to. But make sure that's done. Yeah, I think they're due in February. I can't remember, February or March. Please make sure that's done. And you're kind of thinking, well, why do I have to get it done that early? Well, because I have to prepare a graduation booklet. And your names need to go in there.
And a great time to do that is when you go see your advisor to enroll for spring. Yes. We can also do your graduation applications then.
You guys are so lucky. Remember when those used to be paper? We had, that graduation application was paper, and oh my goodness. You guys have it easy. It's a Google form now, so it's pretty simple. So make sure that you're getting that done, especially if you're completing this spring. Some students might be completing in summer. If you're completing in summer, you can still do it now and just click, just choose summer as an option. Some students, believe it or not, we'll have some students that complete a degree in fall, and then they're doing another one in spring, and they might even do another one in summer. If you're doing something like that, that's terrific, but I would need 3 separate applications because it doesn't populate in the Google form that way. So keep that in mind too, okay? There's no charge to graduate except when you order your cap and gown. You have to pay for that at the time of ordering, so if you're completing. What's that? No, it's yep, you are paying for your cap and gown at the time of order this time. Alicia has changed that. It used to be when you pick it up, you pay for it. Now you pay for it when you apply, okay? If you already have a black one from high school, or your friend has one from last year, you don't need to buy one. Just borrow theirs, okay? Some students use them for Halloween costumes. So it's that time of year, you can have a Halloween costume. Okay, questions? No more questions? Okay, one of my favorite things that we're gonna talk about next is social etiquette for students. I know, it's a thing. It's a thing for big people too. I mean, come on, it's a thing. So we're gonna try this. Social etiquette. What is social etiquette, you guys? Yes, how you should act. Efren, you might have to help. We all should be pretty familiar with social etiquette. I'm here to tell you one of my biggest pet peeves. I don't see the large number of students that I used to years ago as registrar. I used to have a lot of students come in my office. As things have evolved and changed in the collegiate world here, I just don't see as many students in my office, but I'd love to. You don't have to have a reason to come in unless you just want to say hi. I love that because I just don't see a lot of students. So come in and just say hi, please. I like that. You don't have, just come see me. Because again, I sit in the corner and I don't hear very well back there because, well, it's secluded and it gets lonely. Come see me. So one of my biggest pet peeves is when students come in my office and they've got their earbuds in and they plop down in my chair and they stare at me. And I just stare right back because I'm not gonna have a conversation with you with your earbuds in. I won't do it. It's rude and I will not do that. Put your phone away when you go see someone, please. Take your earbuds out, please, I beg of you. It's rude and it just doesn't speak well for humankind to do that. It just doesn't. So sometimes I know you guys are all in your bubbles. I remember being a college student too. These girls out there, they all remember being college students. Of course, I was a college student before you all were even born, back in the 80s. So things were very different. We didn't have cell phones, we didn't have earbuds, so things are very different. But I remember being in a bubble when I was a college kid. I know you guys are busy. You go, and times have changed so much. You're a lot busier than we were as college students. And I went to a community college too. I'm from Nebraska, and I went to my community college in my hometown, and then I transferred to Kearney. So I understand what you're going through. But sometimes if you just give some thought to your behaviors and what you're doing and how it is perceived, because even though you may mean well, perception is key. And adults make these perceptions, and your fellow students make these perceptions. So here are just a few tips, just things that we put together. Something like this. I remember my mom and dad taught me very well to hold the door. So if you're coming into the union and you're opening, now that our doors are more automated, it's a very different situation. But even if you're going in somewhere, hold the door for a person that's behind you. Take a peek if there's anybody walking in behind you, and just hold the door. It's just pure kindness. And again, our doors are now a little more automated, but think about somebody else that way too, okay? Just hold the door. It's just really nice. And if someone does hold the door for you, say thank you. Or smile, give them a smile, give them a little nod, just acknowledge that they did that for you. It's just a nice thing to do. Oh gosh, greet your instructors. So when you're going into class and I don't know, Dana Juneman comes in class, and she says, hey, good morning. Please say good morning back, okay? If your instructor's greeting you, just, hey, how's it going? Greet them back. It just is really kind of a nice thing to do. It's just nice. Are you okay? We said something funny.
It's an inside joke.
Okay, it's an inside joke. All right, so I'm here to tell you, instructors do observe this polite behavior. Be polite. Okay, instructors notice those things. Staff do too. We notice those things. And it sticks out. It's kind of like sticking out like a sore thumb. When people are kind, they really do stick out. I'm here to tell you. Honor your commitments. This is huge. So if you make an appointment with an instructor or your advisor, if you make an appointment to go into the advising center and student support services and you don't show up, Does that speak very highly for you and your character? No, it doesn't. It does not. So if you make an appointment with someone, please show up because they have made the time for you. Please make that time for them. If you can't honor that commitment, just communicate. Shoot a quick text, shoot an email, make a phone call. Hey, I got held up, getting my driver's license. Hey, I'm at the DMV, I'm running late. Can I make a new appointment? Or, doggone it, I forgot my dentist appointment. Can we make a different appointment? Just communicate, that's all it takes, okay? It just is really a nice thing to do. Please dress appropriately. Now, I know there's no dress code for students at CCC. You can go to class in your jammies if you want to. I'm not saying you can't. But if you have the right to do that, just make sure your clothes are clean. I mean, it comes down to hygiene. Those sometimes can be tough conversations to have with students and with fellow co-workers and things like that. And those are difficult conversations. But if you're running late and you're throwing some clothes on, just kind of make sure they're clean. So, I mean, it's just common knowledge, okay? I know you should always have fresh breath and smell appropriate. We know it's stressful, we get that. But take time to take pride in yourself and your appearance and how you look, how you smell, those kinds of things. It's important. Oh gosh, please say thank you. Please, okay? There was this article, gratitude promotes good self-esteem, whether you believe it or not. We all have, self-esteem is something we all have. It's how we view ourselves. But something as simple as thanking someone who held that door open for you, or your instructors or administrators for their time. If you make an appointment with Dr. Mr. President Seth Carter, and he takes the time to meet with you, shoot him a quick thank you email. Hey, thanks Dr. Carter for meeting with me. Send him a handwritten thank you note. When you meet with your advisors, say thank you. They're taking that time for you. If an instructor, administrator, or other staff member goes out of their way to do something really, really nice, just give them a quick thank you. Has anybody ever asked like a high school instructor or even a college instructor yet for a recommendation letter for a scholarship or something like that? Yeah, those are important recommendation letters. Shoot them a thank you. It doesn't have, you can handwrite it, those are the best, but shoot them a thank you email or a text or something like that. Just say thank you. It goes a really, really long way. And we remember that. Your instructors remember that. We staff members, we really do remember that, believe it or not. I keep my thank you notes. I have a drawer in my office that I keep those things in, believe it or not. It's just fun to go through those once in a while. Just to see if I can even remember the students. So it's kind of cool. Respect campus employees. Of course, respect your instructors. That goes without saying. But I'm not a faculty member. These girls are advisors. Sarah, they are sometimes faculty members. They have different roles. But those of us who are not faculty members, your custodial staff, your cafeteria staff, hello, please respect them especially. They feed you. They work really hard to feed you. And please be respectful of that space. Especially if you're in the cafeteria, throw your stuff away. Clean up after yourselves. If your parents didn't teach you how to clean up after yourselves, well, I'm not going to, but I might call you out for it. Please respect that space. Those cafeteria employees aren't here to clean up after you. They're not. Please put your stuff away. It's not that hard, okay? Clean up a spill. If you notice a spill, clean it up. Spills can be kind of dangerous too. Again, whether or not you like the food, that's neither here nor there. That's a whole different ball game. But please just be respectful of all of those. Even the custodial staff. They work really, really, really hard too. Especially the custodial staff that works overnight. They're here till, they literally work all night. So it's just a good thing to be respectful. So keep that in mind. Put that there again. Clean up after yourself. especially in the cafeteria. You know, if you notice a napkin on the floor, it's not that hard. Bend over, pick it up, and throw it in the trash. Again, it's nice to keep our campus clean. We respect our campus. It's a nice little campus, so do what you can, do your part to keep it looking nice. Again, like I said, it's not the cafeteria's job to kind of put up with laziness from students, but just do your part, that's all we ask. When you do email, make sure your emails are professional. I've seen some memes out there on Facebook, you know, I'm secretly judging your use of the English language. So make sure that your emails are appropriately addressed. Please use the English language as appropriately as you can. Spelling is huge. Punctuation is huge, especially if you're emailing your instructors and things like that. Those are really good habits to get into. Proofread your emails. It just takes a couple seconds to proofread those. You can set those up to autocorrect. You can set those emails up differently. But make sure you have the correct tone, especially the correct tone, because emails, you know how communication between people and you're not there. I mean, we can sit and talk and I can look you in the eyes and speak with you, and through our body language and facial expressions, we know what we're conveying, but emails and texts don't present themselves that way. It is a one-on-one conversation, but it's not a human interaction. So you may not think it has potentially a rude tone or something along that line. So that's a really good reason to proofread your emails and texts before they go out so that you do convey the correct tone. And the recipient doesn't read something into that you didn't need to go through that. Especially, those are good habits right now as students, because someday when you're done with college, believe it or not, you're gonna be done with college someday, and you're gonna go out into the workforce. And you're going to have to send emails that are professionally worded, that they do have the correct tone, those kinds of things. Spelling errors are kept to a minimum. Punctuation is correct and those kinds of things. That's why your English classes are so important. So keep in mind, someday you're not going to be in college and you're going to be out in the workforce, and you're going to have to send some emails or letters or things like that are correctly worded. I think one of the biggest things, take responsibility for your education. And I've heard this before. I'm sure these ladies out here have heard, well, I'm paying for this. Well, yeah, you are, or your parents are, or a scholarship is paying for your education. Did you know that there are taxpayers that are paying for your education right now? It's not all your money. It really isn't. So, one of these things, students pay only a portion of your cost of education. Taxpayers pay the balance. Instructors get to create a learning environment. Whether you learn or not depends on your willingness to listen, to ask appropriate questions, and do the work necessary to pass the class. College classes are rigorous and demanding. You may have to work harder and seek more help in order to succeed. And that's what we're here for. We are here to help you succeed, but you have to put that effort in to succeed. You have to work hard, you have to pass your classes. If you need tutoring, get a tutor. If you need to go to student support services and ask for some help, they are going to help you. Miss Sarah is a fabulous math tutor. Oh my heck, I probably should have taken some math from Sarah. But I'm here to tell you, we have so many things in place to help you succeed in your classes. You just have to help. So your education is your responsibility, okay? You have to take ownership for that. And I know you do. I know you know that, but I'm just refreshing your memory a little bit so that you know you're not footing the bill for your entire college career. And so other people are doing that too. Attend every class. Please go to class. Please go to class. Your instructors worry about you. Do you know we have an early alert system on our campus? Do you know that? Miss Brooke, she keeps tabs on students. So if you have instructors that are worried about you, you haven't been to class all week, You may get reported to the early alert system, and Miss Brooke might be giving you a call. Where the heck are you? You haven't gone to class all week. Checking up on you. So go to class, or we do worry about you. We wonder, where are you? Are you healthy? Are you sick? Did you fall? Did you go home and get in a car accident? We don't know. Adults tend to think the worst. I mean, we just do. It happens. So please go to class. If you can't make it, if you're sick or if you've had a family emergency, communication is key, especially if you have online classes. Communication is key, because if your instructors don't know that something's going on with you, they can't help you. We have instructors who are so willing to work with you. You just have to communicate. That's so important. Okay? Communication, communication, communication. Call them, text them, send them an email, anything. Just communicate. Because then that makes people more willing to go to bat for you if something is going on. And we know, we'll do that. So please go to class. Statistically, if you don't go to class, are you gonna do well? Statistically, that's why students generally fail or withdraw from classes, is statistically because they're not attending. It's not the case all the time, but statistically it's because they're not attending class. And we know things happen, but please, go to class or communicate with your instructors. And especially, make an appointment with your instructor to make up the work that you might have missed. Especially when I know athletes have a really hard time with that, I understand that. Just make appointments with your instructors and get things made up as you need to. And get to class on time. It is distracting as heck for the students who are in class for you to walk in late. It's distracting for those other students, and it's distracting for the instructor. Sometimes you can't help being late, we know that. But try to be on time every time. We understand things happen, but it is distracting for the other students in the class when you're late, okay? And again, it's disrespectful. Oh boy, turn your phones off. We shouldn't have to say that, but we do. Turn your phones off, put them away, please. Just put them away. It goes a long way. It shows to your instructors that you are willing to be participatory in that class. Your time is not any more valuable than that instructor's time. Put your phones away and pay attention to your instructor. And take your earbuds out. Please, take your earbuds out. So again, just to reiterate, that's our last slide. If you want to kind of have a good reputation on campus, just doing some minor things to help yourself will go a long way. And maybe put you head and shoulders above the rest kind of thing. So just take those little tips into account as you're working through your career here. Just little tips. Take that with you into all walks of life as well. Any questions?